I don't like that corporal over there leering at me. I think he fancies me.
You're wrong. You're 11-6.
Where's Ensign Taylor? You're supposed to be taking care of this, Ensign.
Is it a bad lot you've got here? Are they unruly troops?
Absolutely. Unbelievable.
Where do you recruit these guys from? Where are they?
From anybody that's warm, Peter. Anybody that's warm. You might do.
What's my cause in this struggle?
What's your cause in this struggle? For your sovereign. To recover your rights
George
as a
III,
British citizen.
George III, who was not necessarily the most respected of British monarchs.
Respected by who?
By history.
By history. Well,
Yes.
history's abused the man. And actually, seeing this is going to be edited, do you know what George III died from, Peter?
I believe that he had hereditary syphilis.
One might say that. The king. The king, gentlemen, the king.
God bless him. I am a monarchist.
So the king, he's our hero.
Gavin, I want to ask you who you are in 1780 in a minute, but tell me who you are in 1980.
In 1980, in 3 words or less.
No, go 25 if you like.
I work in the packaging industry, and I have this mob of people that work for me. And they take care of all the business. This is going to go down, isn't it? They take care of all the business, and I just play at being an officer of the king.
And this is in the city of?
Toronto.
One of the king's good cities?
One of the king's good cities. But I live in King City, where an officer of the king would be expected to live.
Well.
Yes, absolutely.
And your interest in what you're doing here this weekend stems from where?
Oh, real interest in Canadian military history.
From childhood?
Almost. I had 2 uncles that were in the service, and they used to regale me with all these stories. Unbelievable stories, much to my father's displeasure.
Did you ever serve in the military yourself?
No, but I had a lot of association with the military.
And in 1780, you're
Yes.
kind of the king here. You're kind of the boss, not the king, I'm sorry.
Oh, by far, not the king. Sir.
But you are in command.
In command. Temporarily, when we're on the field and the troops want to behave, then I'm in command. When we're off duty, then they don't want to behave, they just don't. Right?
Your
They
rank
have a
is...
mind of their own, believe me. Captain Lieutenant. It's an archaic rank. It's a rank, what they call neither fish nor fowl. You rank as a captain, the most junior in the battalion, but you're only paid as a lieutenant. So you have all the mess bills of a captain, or yes, all the mess bills of a captain, but the pay of a lieutenant.
Everything here is utterly accurate, isn't it, including that rank?
As much as we can do. As much as we can do. But I have fillings, Peter, which I won't open my mouth and then we won't see them.
Bad teeth were a historical fact.
Oh,
eh?
absolutely, absolutely.
You wouldn't be such a handsome lot in those days.
Oh, definitely, but they would have been wooden or perhaps cow's teeth or lead or something like that. And it wouldn't have been my own.
Can you give me some examples of some of the intricacy of detail to which you go here?
Some of the interesting things that happen, we have a number of individuals in the unit that are actually descended from the unit. So we have fellows that are descended from officers in the unit, fellows that are descended from privates. But I guess the most interesting story of all, when we got going on this back in '75, I was president of a gun club, and there were a number of gun collectors in the club. So I was absolutely sure that this one fellow I'd known for all these years would have to be in this thing, see, because he was a really superb Canadian military collector. So I phoned him up on the telephone and I said, "Bruce, you've got to be in this thing." And he said, "Oh, geez, Gavin, I don't know. I don't know what my ancestors did. I know that they fought at Chrysler's Farm in the War of 1812, because they're right on the monument there." So I said to myself, says I, "John Chrysler, he's in the colonel's company of our battalion, so I'll just look up Bruce Strader's ancestors." See? So I go through the muster rolls, and we had decided we were doing the colonel's company at that time. That's before Bruce came in. And I go through it, and there it is, his ancestors right there in the company. And he wears now, Bruce Strader wears his ancestors' number, because most of our equipment is numbered, right now today. And then the ancestor's brother was also in the company, and so Bruce Strader's son, Philip, he has the uncle's number. So he has A50 and A32 in the company.
And the uniforms are utterly accurate?
As much as we can make, to the extent that just feel the weight of that, Peter.
Yeah,
That's 24-ounce, 100% wool. It's unbelievable to wear.
I've heard that with all your gear out there on the battlefield today, you probably were carrying, on the average, 30 to 40 pounds each on your back.
I would say so. And then when the men went into combat, they were wearing over 100 pounds on their back. And our unit would carry 80 rounds of musket ammunition with them on a campaign like we're on today. And it was just it's staggering because they marched everywhere, hundreds and hundreds of miles.
It's got to be a labor of love for you guys.
Labor of love for us. Great dedication.
Who are these people who are with you? What walks of life do they come from?
We have absolutely everything.
For-
Really, seriously, absolutely. For fellows that are professionals, a lawyer, and we have fellows that are working for the government. We have just absolutely every cross-section of life. It's phenomenal.
And what do you think we all get out of it? Is it possible to
Well,
say?
for one thing, it's a military unit. It's an amateur military unit, but there's a strong esprit, regimental esprit. And so, consequently, it's just like belonging to a unit without having all the pain and agony of being dirty all the time. You can have a shower every once in a while. Not allowed too often, but you can have a shower every once in a while. And so, consequently, they get all that camaraderie of being in a military unit. And then there's a little bit of, for a lot of the guys, this real zeal that comes with portraying Canadian history, which really isn't known to anybody. People don't really, when we say we're the King's Royal Regiment of New York, and we're in Toronto, and everybody says, New York, you're Yankees. And because that's the foundation of Ontario.
Explain that just briefly.
Well, virtually all of the Loyalist units that fought during the war, and there was 30,000 men under arms that were all in these Loyalist units. So the ones that fought in the north, they were disbanded in Canada and settled parts of the eastern townships in Quebec, settled down in the north end at the mouth of the Richelieu in Champlain, and then they settled all the way from the Ottawa River right over to Quinty's Isle in Ontario. So all of that area there was settled by disbanded northern Loyalist troops, and then the southern Loyalist troops, the guys that had been raised sort of in Massachusetts, had been raised in lower state New York, the Carolinas and all that, they came back and they settled what was then Nova Scotia. That included New Brunswick at the time. And of course, Ontario was part of Quebec at the time, going back to that scene, and then split later. So all these troops, so they're all Americans, in our sense, the Canadian sense of what an American is. He's the guy that lives south of the St. Lawrence River. Okay, but these were all Americans too. So when we say we're a New York regiment, it's really as Canadian can be, because it was the start of the whole thing.
This state where you and I, two Canadians, are sitting is a great breeding ground for Canadians.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, what you must, as you walk through the 1980s, as you do, get a little ribbing or
Oh,
lots of comments.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What do they say? What do they...
Well, they don't say much, Peter, because I'm a violent man.
Long looks.
I have a lot of troops behind me. But you get a lot of it, sure, a lot of ribbing. But not as much. But they think you're harmless. And, you know, that's really the key to the whole thing. Is that, and we have events just actually pour in through the mails. It's unbelievable. You don't have to go out and solicit events and things to go to at all. They just pour in through the mail.
You're invited to go to take part in battles all over the place.
All over the place. So next year we hope to go to Yorktown, Virginia. That'll take us 2 days to get there, 2 days to get back, and we hope to put the unit on the field. But Yorktown, you see, was the finish, as it were, of the Revolutionary War. And at that stage, the French had really put a lot of troops into North America on the side of the Americans. So the French, together with the Americans, and it was about even Steven, they defeated the British and the Loyalists at Yorktown. And that was the death knell. The government fell in Britain and the whole bit, and it reversed it. So our regiment is going to have to go down there. We never lost a battle in all the time that we fought in New York State, which was then New York, the rebellious province of New York. We never lost a battle. Now we're going to have to go down and surrender in Yorktown, Virginia. Now the fellows are saying that maybe we might have to change history a little bit. Maybe we just might have to change history.
You say people say you're harmless, but do you ever get people coming up to you and say, hey, look, you guys are glorifying war. War is hell and all of this.
We get a little bit of that.
Do you think you are?
Well, in the fact that it's colorful and it's military, yes. I suppose it's a glorification of something that happened. But no, I don't look at it that way. I think that it's far more important from the point of view of bringing a sense of history to our country. And we are abysmal in a sense of history as Canadians. I think Canadians just haven't got a grip on all the joy that's there. We look on American history, and I think most Canadians envy American history. They really are envious of it because the Americans know how to handle it. They know how to promote it. They know how to give this feeling of heritage. Canadians don't seem to have a grip on it. And we think we're doing our little bit to change that, to bring it around. So I don't think we're glorifying war per se. We're glorifying the roots of the country. That's really the way to look at
Well, I think you're a great promoter to
it. Okay, now you're joining? You're going to take the shilling?
it. Maybe I will. It's at the bottom of that glass.
It's at the bottom of this. Here you are.
Thanks for talking with
You're
me,
welcome.
Gavin.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.